Welcome to another video. Today's topic is rounding numbers. So for question 1, round each number to the nearest one decimal place. So for question 1a, you have 104.461. So when it comes to rounding numbers, you have two important numbers to think of. You have the last digit and the decider. Now, the last digit is basically the number that you're going to round down or up. Okay, since we're doing first decimal place, 4 is the first decimal place, so we would be rounding 4 upwards or downwards. Okay, and the decider, which is 6, is going to decide if we're going to round 4 upwards or downwards. Okay, so 6 is the decider and 4 is the last digit. Okay, if the decider is greater or equal to 5, then we round the number upwards. Round upwards. Okay, so in this case 6 is greater or equal to 5, so we round the last digit upwards. In this case the last digit is 4, so we round 4 upwards to 5. So the answer would be 104.5. 1b, you have 1.0952. Round this to the nearest decimal place, to the nearest first decimal place. So again, the last digit would be 0, last digit, and the decider would be 9 on the second decimal place. In this case, the decider is greater or equal to 5, so we round the last digit upwards. Okay, so then the answer would be 1.1. Now for the next set of questions, we're going to round to the nearest second decimal place. Okay, so you have 8.096. 8.096. In this case, the last digit would be 0.9. Why is that? It's because we're rounding to the second decimal place. This is the first and this is the second. So 9 would be the last digit. And the decider would be the number after, which is 6. That would be the decider. In this case, the decider is greater or equal to 5 because it's 6. So we would round 9 upwards. Okay? And when you round 9 upwards, it becomes 10. Okay? So automatically, the 10 gets moved to the left. Okay, in this case there's a 0, so you would add 0 by 1 and that would give you 8.1. So basically when you round 9 over, you carry a 1 to the next number and then you add that to the number. Now for this question, 1095.395. In this case, the last digit is 0 and the decider is 5. Okay, the decider and the last digit. Since the decider is greater or equal to 5, then we round 9 upwards. And like we did here, to round 9 upwards, it becomes a 10. Okay, so the 9 turns into a 0 and the 1 is carried over to the unit section, to the first decimal place. So you would add 3 plus 1, which is 4. So the answer would be 1095.4. This happens when you have a 9. Okay, like I said before, you carry over the 1 to the digit before. Now for significant figures. Significant figures is a bit different. So you have 1543. We are trying to round each number to the second significant figure. So all you'd simply do is count from the left side to 1. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. First significant figure, second significant figure, third significant figure, and fourth significant figure. In this case, we are doing 2 significant figures, so we look at the 5. Okay, the 5 would be the last digit, and the 4 would then be the decider. So you look at 4. The decider has to be greater or equal to 5 to round upwards. Okay, D is 4, so it's not greater or equal to 5, so we round downwards. Okay, so 4 means we round downwards. So the answer would be 1500. Since we're not going to round up 5 upwards, so we're just going to keep it like that and round downwards. 99.9. Now this is a bit trickier. Okay, in this situation, the last digit is this 9. Okay, since 1, 2, 3, since that's the second significant figure, and the decider would be the 9 in the 10th column. That would be the decider. So you'd round the last digit, which is 9, you'd round it upwards. Okay, and in this case, because it's 9, it's going to turn into what? It's going to turn into 0. Okay, it's going to turn into a 10, and then you carry over to the next number. So 90 plus 10. Then you add these two numbers, and that would give you 100. Now round each number to 3 significant figures. It's the same thing as 2 significant figures, but instead we're doing 3. So in this situation we have 88,725. So 88,725. We are trying to round to 3 significant figures. So you would count from the left to right. So 1, 2, and 3. So 7 is the last digit, and 2 is the decider. In this case, the decider, remember, the decider has to be greater or equal to 5. But in this example, it's 2. So we round downwards. So the answer would be 88,700. Next one, 92.95. Round to the nearest 3 significant figures. So you would count from left to right. 1, 2, 3. 9 would be the last digit, and 5 would be the decider. The decider has to be greater or equal to 5 to round upwards. So, and in this case the decider is 5, so we round upwards. Okay, so 92.95 rounding up turns into 92.0, carrying over the 1. Okay, carrying over the 1 because the 9 turns into 0, and because the 9 rounds upwards and turns into 1. So you'd add these together, and that becomes 93. So your answer would be 93. Round each number to 2 significant figures. So when rounding with significant figures with decimals, it's actually a bit different to decimals, since we skip zeros. Okay, so in this case we have 0.107. So rounding to 2 significant figures, we wouldn't count 0 as the first significant figure. Okay, because this is 0. Okay, it's not a number. 1 would be the first significant figure, and then the next 0 would be 2. Okay, because there's a number before this 0, then it counts as a significant figure. But because this 0 doesn't have any number before it, it doesn't count as a significant figure. Okay, so this counts as a significant figure. Of course there are imaginary zeros after the 7, but these zeros would count since there's a 7 before all of these numbers. So this will be the 4th, 5th, and 6th. Okay, so you have 0.107. The last digit is 0, last digit, and the 7 is the decider. Remember, the decider has to be greater or equal to 5 to round upwards. 7 is greater than 5, so we round the 0 to a 1. So then your answer is 0.11. Last question. So you have 0.0895. Round to the nearest 2 significant figure. So you skip the zeros. They won't count as a significant figure since there's no number before. So 8 would be the first, 9 would be the second, 5 would be the third. we're rounding to the second significant figure, so 9 would be the last digit and 5 would be the decider. Since the decider has to be greater or equal to 5, so in this case the decider is 5, so we round 9 upwards to 10. Okay, like we did before, we carry the 1, so 0.08 plus 1, okay, plus 0.1, since the 9 turns into a 10, so then your answer would be 0.09. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope you guys understand how to round numbers to the nearest decimal place and significant figures, and hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one.